Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in to another 13 Now for our special primary election series. I'm Mia Bell Salzano. Today is Wednesday, July 8th. And today we're talking with Bay County Superintendent candidate Judy Vandergrift. Thanks for being here.
Thanks. Thank you so much for asking.
So just for anyone who doesn't know you already, can you just start by introducing yourself a little bit, talking about your background and your career here in Bay County?
Sure. I have a few years of experience in Bay County, 43. I started out as an elementary teacher, and then I went to be a middle school or junior high science teacher. And from there I went to be a assistant principal, then from assistant principal to principal at an elementary school, then a principal at a middle school, and then I went to work with Mr. McAllister as deputy superintendent. So my husband used to tease me that I couldn't keep a job because I keep going from school to school. He stayed 34 years at Jenks Middle School, but I kind of jump around. And that's what you have to do when you're in administration. You have to go where the superintendent needs you.
So what part of your career do you think best would serve you as superintendent?
Oh, definitely the position of deputy superintendent, because I worked with several departments very closely. Finance department, safety and security, instruction, a little bit of everything. And I did that for 6 years. I was deputy superintendent.
Okay. So you are running against an incumbent superintendent, and I guess what exactly do you want to see change?
What do I want to see changed? Well, I always want safety and security as the #1 priority. And that doesn't need to be changed, but I think it needs to be mentioned that no matter what we do, we keep our teachers and our students safe. But as far as personally, when I'm elected, I would like to see our school system return back to an education system of excellence. Our grades have slipped quite a bit over the last several years. Our standing in the state has slipped quite a bit. When I was deputy superintendent, we maintained the position of 19 and 20 in the state out of 67 districts. Right now it's been hovering in the 30s, and at one time even reached 44th in the state. So I want to return back to a district of excellence in everything that we do.
So when you talk about safety, there is safety from violence and safety from COVID-related threats. And I guess how do you plan to balance those two safeties, with CDC guidelines kind of saying that open spaces outdoors is safer for the virus, and having closed locked doors is safer for violence?
Well, I think we're doing a pretty good job in the area of safety. I know that Mike Jones has secured many grants where we have cameras, fencing. So the exterior, I believe, is pretty safe at the schools. So I think our biggest threat are those germs that we can't see. And we have to take most of our direction from the CDC and the health department in that respect.
Mm-hmm. And I guess there are a lot of people who think that charter schools in the area have led to grades declining. And I guess, do you believe that that's the case? And if so, how do you plan to address that issue?
Did I fail to mention that I opened a charter school? The state legislature designated charter schools as a way for parents to utilize school choice. So whether you like charter schools or you don't, it's an avenue by which parents can have school choice. They can go to regular public school, they can go to charter school, they can go to public school, they can go to virtual school. It's all choice. Now, I feel that in the last several years they're using the charter school as an excuse. So I don't want to dwell on excuses. I want to search for solutions. There are many, many smart, above average children, students in our school system. They didn't all leave the public school system and go to charter schools. Any school, any child or student in a school can attend school regularly, be respectful, do what they're supposed to. That's no different than what's going on in the charter school. The charter school might have a little bit of an advantage over the parent input, parent involvement. But that's what we need now in public schools, now more than ever, is parent involvement. And I, as a superintendent, will advocate parent involvement in every single school.
So I guess when you talk about solutions for raising the grades in kind of the general public schools, what do you mean by that?
Well, we first need to take a look at some of our policies. If you talk to teachers or parents, they have many, many concerns over the discipline in the schools. They also have concern over attendance. There are no consequences for either one of those. If you have a policy in our school system, it needs to be a policy that can be enforced. Right now, kids go to school, students go to school when they want to go to school. There's no consequence. If you're disrespectful to a teacher, there's little consequence. So you first have to address those policies. Then you move on to the curriculum. Right now they have some curriculums that the teachers don't enjoy using. If you were to go to some of the elementary schools now and go and look in their book room, you would find that some of those textbooks that cost hundreds of dollars have never even been opened, because the teachers were not involved in selecting that curriculum. So therefore, they don't want to use it. They don't feel comfortable, they don't think it's beneficial, so they're not using it. So curriculum is a key.
So you're saying you kind of would like to involve teachers more into the formation of the curriculum?
Oh, absolutely. They're the ones they're the ones that we hold responsible for delivering that curriculum. So they need to be involved in selecting it.
Okay. And I guess we kind of keep hearing from teachers every time there's a new incentive to hire teachers, to attract them, that you know, their kind of morale is low. And so I guess the question is, how do you bring up your current teachers and make them feel appreciated without like, I guess, without making, yeah, I guess, how do you bring up the morale in the school system?
Okay. I think we have two issues here. I think we have the issue of supporting the teachers that we have now. The experienced teachers, we need to value that experience. They need to feel respected by their administration and by the district office. They need to feel supported and respected. Of course, everybody wants higher pay for the teachers. I think especially after this digital classroom and parents had a taste of what they have to do to teach their child, I think they're a little more appreciative of what teachers have to go through. So I think they want to feel appreciated and supported. And, you know, Florida ranks very, very low out of 50 states on salaries, in the 40s. So out of 50 states, Florida is still very low. And I know that probably some of the public gets tired of hearing that we want more pay and want more pay. But the cost of living, you know how it is increasing. And our pay is not keeping up with the cost of living for our teachers. So many of them, especially males, have to have 2 jobs. And if they're a single parent, they absolutely have to have 2 jobs because their salary can't support a family in this day and time. So salary is important, respect is important, support is important. Now, beginning teachers, they need a mentor. And they don't need a mentor that comes from the district that you see maybe once or twice a month. They need someone on staff at the school that is in their same area, someone they can go to and say, I tried this and it didn't work. What do I do now? Most beginning teachers would never go to the principal or the assistant principal to ask for help because they don't want to be perceived as weak. So that support, I think, is critical for beginning teachers.
And I guess how would you suggest using and allocating the money given to the county by Governor DeSantis's announcement for hiring teacher pay? Because I know there's a percentage.
Yes, I wish I had the authority to divvy out that money, but unfortunately the district does not. 80% is set in stone, goes to beginning teachers. 20% has to be negotiated through the union. So I wish I could just divide it up and say, okay, you know, each teacher gets a raise, but that's unfortunately not the way it's been designated to us.
Okay, so it's going to be a long negotiation kind of to see where that money goes.
Well, I think it will be a negotiation of some type. I don't know how long it's going to go, though.
Okay. So I wanted to kind of touch on the Black community here in Bay County. And over the years, we've heard from many about the historically Black schools closing. And so I guess the question is, what would you do to kind of protect the heritage of these schools and what they mean to the Black community? Schools like Oscar Patterson at Harris Rosenwald.
I want to be a superintendent for all. Black, white, Asian, gay, straight, whatever. I want to support the students and the faculty that serves all students. If you look at the schools on the east side of town, can you think when the last new school was built on the east side of town? It's a hard one. That's a hard one. The last school built was Deer Point, and that's not on the east side of town. So we have schools that their infrastructure is deteriorating. They really need some help. And so the Black community is very concerned because the neighborhood school, it was not damaged as much as some of the other schools, but yet it's been closed. And that's a big concern. I know that the population has shifted around because of the hurricane and because of the virus, and we're going to have to take a look at that shift in population. But the Black community deserves to have a neighborhood school. Research says all the time, for years and years, that neighborhood schools are the most successful. So we have to work on that and working with the public.
Okay. And I guess with Springfield Elementary and Everett Middle School both currently closed and plan to reopen as a combined school, how would you rebuild that school in a way that it achieves the highest possible performance for the students?
If I had a magic wand, I'd make it a K-12, a pre-K 8 school. And
why is that?
Well, I would combine, we need a new school on the east side of town. It needs to be a showplace, a school that the east side of town is proud to go to. And it could be a feeder into Rutherford High School. It could, they have already repositioned Southport, Springfield to become the safety and security department. And so I perceived that he had no intentions of ever reopening Springfield. And so Everett was heavily damaged. And so we have an opportunity here to combine those two and have a nice brand new state-of-the-art school on the east side of town.
Okay. And kind of my last question, I guess, is with this double whammy of the pandemic shutting down schools and the lingering effects of Hurricane Michael, how do you kind of plan to address that going forward, and student homelessness and mental illness in schools? And
this is a situation where we have to work with the community. The homeless issues, the needs of some students. We need to pull the community in and get their perspective and ask for their help. For example, some of the homes might not have Wi-Fi, but we could possibly work with some of the telecommunication stores or offices here to see how they can help us in regard to that. So bringing in the community into the fold of decision making, I think, is very important. We have a $385 million budget, 3,000 employees. we need to have oversight on that $385 million to make sure that it is spent for the classroom, for the students, for the teachers.
And I guess, sorry, this is my last question. Do you have
Okay.
any suggestions on, I don't know, would you like to see any changes made to how the half-cent sales tax is being used?
Well, right now it's for repairs and infrastructure and technology. It is great to have technology. Some of the schools are in a position where they're ready to take on more and more technology. But there's some schools, the infrastructure is just not there. And we need to concentrate on those as far as the half-cent sales tax is concerned.
Okay. Well, I think that's all I have. Is there anything you'd like to add?
I would appreciate your vote. Vote for Vandergrift anytime between now and August 18th.
Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Hopefully you learned something new about Bay County Superintendent candidate Judy Vandergrift. You can revisit this broadcast on mypanhandle.com's Meet the Candidate page under your local election headquarters tab. And tomorrow and Friday, I'll be sitting down with Walton County School Board candidates Jerry Mitchie and Marcia Weingardner. But that's all for today. Live for 13 Now, I'm Mia Bell Salzano. See you tomorrow.